evening and welcome to City and State's 7th Annual 50 Over 50 Awards presented by AARP New York. This event, different this year because of the pandemic, but now as much as ever, we are honored to recognize 50 New Yorkers with this distinguished honor. In the past 2 years, we have learned a lot. If it's taught us anything, it is crucial to welcome the new kids on the block, but it is also very important to recognize expertise and to respect those who have already been through the trenches and what they have learned and learn what they have learned. And that is why we are proud to acknowledge some of those individuals tonight. I would like to first take a moment to thank the sponsors, AARP New York, Kpmg, Good Shepherds, Grand Street Settlement, Roberta Katz Consulting. We have a special treat for you. Please turn your attention to our first political personalities with Sky Ostreicher video.
Yes, no, please sing a little bit for us, no mind.
I knew I shouldn't have said this. I have often walked down this street before.
I conquered something today, and I'm very proud of myself. Yeah, I was able finally to pick up some dogs.
But the pavement always stayed beneath my feet before.
Is that a good achievement for me? I'm very proud of myself.
I have a house in Westchester. I have a husband. I have 4 little dogs. They're always really happy to see me come home. And not so much my husband, but the dogs are definitely very happy to see me walk in the door.
I read that you have 19 rescue cats and dogs.
They show up, and what are you going to do?
Part of our City and State 50 Over 50 honorees for this Lifetime Achievement Award, so congratulations to you.
This is what we do. It's not for people to say, job well done. It's to do a job well done.
I remember one evening I was sitting between the great opera star Beth Fleming and football star Tom Brady. And so I had the opportunity to figure out what can the 3 of us talk about that would be of interest to everyone. And of course, that was the men.
When you try to help improve a neighborhood anywhere, wherever it is, you want the people who are there to educate you about how you can best do that.
Dr. Hazel Dukes, she is the president of the NAACP for New York.
Don't let anyone tell you don't be involved in politics because you're born in politics.
Okay, so tell us about your new relationship.
A very good friend of mine said, well, I have a friend, and you have to meet this person, and that person is now my current husband, but he didn't want to meet me.
You know, people say, oh, you're so, humble, I guess is the word. Why not? You know, mission is just a title. When you're there to serve people, you're there to help people.
Am I several stories high, knowing I'm on the street where you live?
And I said, fine, I don't care if he doesn't want to meet me, it's his problem. My friends kept pushing this. They kept saying, come on, the 2 of you, you really will have a great time. Okay, so they took us both to dinner. We sat and talked about dogs because we're total dog freaks. And we just talked about dogs, and the people who took us to dinner hate dogs. Harry, hi, sweetie.
Opening act at the Holiday Inn at the airport.
Good grief. I haven't seen that before, by the way. Anyway, I would like to introduce now one of our sponsors and my friend, Beth Finkel, who is the State Director of AARP of New York. She will make a few remarks and we'll see a video.
I think we're missing the sound from the video, folks. Amanda.
Yes, we're working on it. Sorry.
Sorry, guys. Well, why don't I start my remarks and then we can do the video? Would that help?
That's great. Thank you.
All right. So hi, everybody. I'm Beth Finkel. I'm the state director for AARP. Proud to say I've been at Betsy's side for the past 7 years to do the 50 over 50 awards. I think it was a concept of Betsy's and Tom Allen's, and pretty excited that we're here today on the 7th anniversary. 7 is supposed to be a good number in some places. So congratulations to this year's recipient of City and State's 50 over 50 awards. Seeing so many of you who have risen to the top in your field is really inspiring. And I hate to call anybody out, and I never do this, but having Betsy and Hazel and Kathy all being honored this year, I'll tell you, it really did my heart good because I have followed their careers and they've been inspirations to me over the years. And I have learned so much from each one of them individually, which I could tell an anecdote of each, but I won't do that tonight. So as you'll see from the video, the contributions of people 50 plus are vast. Your accomplishments have benefited all generations, not just of New York, but really the nation. And we know it hasn't always been easy. I'm sure all of you have had to overcome obstacles to become as successful as you are. And for some, that includes facing down ageism. According to recent research by AARP New York, we have found that 78% of workers 40 to 65 have seen or experienced age discrimination in the workplace. And nearly 20% have told us that they were passed over for a job because of their age. And nearly 10% said they were laid off or fired due to their age. Look at the others on your screen tonight. Where would we be if 20% of the people we were honoring were not hired or promoted later in your careers? Or if 10% of you were fired just because you hit 50? At AARP New York, we believe that the conversation in this country around growing older simply must change. Unfortunately, many of the attitudes and stereotypes about aging are just flat out ageist. Recently, we issued a blueprint for New York City titled What New Yorkers 50 Plus Deserve. And one of the first things we talk about in it is how New Yorkers deserve to have an ageism-free society. We cannot resolve the challenges of the 50 plus New Yorkers until we stop age-based discrimination. And ageism is all around us, and I know that you all know that. In viral videos that belittle aging politicians, and in ads that glamorize youth, and it's in the workforce. As leaders, whether you work in government, at a not-for-profit, or in business, or a startup, you have a great opportunity here to continue to be age disruptors, to show society what the 50 plus can do. And that is why we are honoring all of you tonight. We're asking you to continue your great work, to be leaders and examples of the contributions people 50 plus have made as we push for policy changes that will help New York City, because an ageism-free city is what we all have to have. I'm sure many of you can attest to knowing what it's like being treated differently because of your age, the stereotypes, the language and ageist jokes, even on birthday cards. The 50 New Yorkers we honor tonight are proof that age isn't how we should be judged, no more than by ethnicity or gender. It's about your achievements. So tonight, we celebrate New Yorkers like yourselves, and we look forward to a time when ageism is left behind. You are the role models for younger generations. Again, congratulations, and keep getting out there and disrupting aging. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Beth. And thank you, AARP, for your support. And I'd like to now introduce Lorna Stark from Kpmg, another sponsor. Lorna?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us here this evening in our virtual world, which has become all too familiar to us. Again, my name is Lorna Stark. I'm a partner with Kpmg. I'm based here in our New York City office. I also lead our government practice here in the United States. I've lived and worked in New York for my entire life, and I'm really proud to say that I've continuously served both the city of New York and the state of New York during my 32-year career with Kpmg. So I'm one of those over 50s and proud to admit it. Not many places where you would be proud to say that or excited to say that, but tonight's the night. I want to congratulate City and State Magazine's 2022 50 over 50, the Age Disruptors. They have all been serving New York's government and New Yorkers, including my KPMG friend and partner, Jeff Plant. He's based in our New York office and he leads our New York State account. Each of the 50 Age Disruptors, and even more importantly, the 10 leaders that are receiving Lifetime Achievement Awards tonight, have contributed to making New York a better, safer, and more equitable community. The pandemic has advanced the modernization of our city and our state, governments in general, and the services that they deliver. It has shining a spotlight on the increased demand for more citizen-focused government as we think about better health and safety and fairness across our communities and the end of ageism, Beth. I am more energized than ever by our recent interactions with both our clients in New York City and in New York State, as well as our alliance partners, including minority, women, and veteran-owned firms who are committed, along with KPMG, to modernizing government by connecting agencies, programs, and services, empowering the delivery of those services with the latest technologies of today and the technologies of tomorrow. Together, we can deliver more efficient, more equitable results, and along the way, enhance public trust. Just last week, I met with several leaders of our minority, women, and veteran-owned alliance partners to learn more about how we can work together in serving both the city and the state. Innovation is happening all around us. New business models include not only providing services that are in demand, digitizing those services, but also seeking at the same time to address health and social equity issues and to contribute to a more agile and skilled workforce. We can't have a modern government without a modern workforce. And that doesn't mean they have to be under 50. It can be any age person who helps us to modernize our governments. Tonight's celebration of this year's 50 over 50 Age Disruptors will further energize our collective mission of achieving that vision of a modern city and a modern state. Congratulations again to all of our disruptors and Lifetime Achievement recipients. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorna. And now I'd like to introduce my great friend, Carl Weisbrod, who is Senior Advisor at HR&A Advisors and former Chair of the New York City Planning Commission, who will introduce another great friend of mine, the Lifetime Achievement Award awardee, Ellen Baer.
Thank you so much, Betsy. I am so delighted to be the curtain raiser for tonight's honorees as we also raise the curtain on a new era in New York City and New York State, where the mantra seems to be just get stuff done. Over the past 4 decades, Ellen Baer has been the poster child for that mantra. 4 decades ago, looking eastward from Manhattan toward the Queens waterfront, one saw a patchwork of low-rise buildings, if one saw any buildings at all. Today, Queens West, Hunters Point South are concrete proof of the dynamism of New York. Ellen Baer made that happen. She guided the Long Island City Court building, then the tallest building between Manhattan and Boston, through the public approval process. She was the catalyst for Hunters Point. When we were looking for someone to start and lead the Hudson Square Alliance and transform that neighborhood from a one-dimensional industrial area into a dynamic mixed-use district, process did require that we actually conduct a competitive search. But from the very beginning, all of us on the search committee knew who we wanted, and that was Ellen Baer, and we wanted her because we all knew that she gets stuff done. And over the past 13 years, as the president of the Hudson Square Alliance, that's exactly what she did. She did it not by changing the physical character of the buildings, but by addressing the tough issues of our time, resiliency even before Sandy, reducing the temperature in the summer through a focus on urban forestry, and by providing high quality open space in a neighborhood which previously had none. It is no accident that Hudson Square is now home to some of the most dynamic businesses in the world. Ellen has not confined herself to New York City. In the mid-1990s, working as a consultant, she led a multidisciplinary bipartisan team to fight the Pentagon's recommendation to close an Air Force technology lab, which provided thousands of jobs in Rome, New York. No surprise, Ellen won, the Pentagon lost, Rome, New York threw Ellen Baer a parade. Who ever heard of a town throwing a consultant a parade? As a sometime consultant myself, I was in awe, and I remain in awe of Ellen Baer. Congratulations, Ellen.
Thank you, Carl. I have to say it was wonderful to have a parade thrown for me. I bet you didn't realize it as I got older and older that you were going to have to introduce me in all these places. So thank you very much for doing so. I also want to thank City and State. I could not wake up in the morning without seeing whose birthday it is and who's moving on and where they're moving to. So thank you very much to you. I also want to thank my fellow honorees. I feel like a very small fish in this very big pond, and I'm very honored to be a part of this. Look, if nothing else, we should all be recognized for our endurance. You know, when I think about my lifetime achievements, I think about places. I think about places like Hudson Square, as Carl said, and Rome, New York. And I'm truly proud of being able to make real change for the good. In the course of preparing for this evening, I was asked what personality trait I most attribute my success to. And I said persistence, as I think Carl alluded to, getting stuff done. It's not exactly scintillating, but boy, I've sure blown through a lot of brick walls. When people ask me about this trait, I say, well, all my education and all my colleagues, my wonderful experience, all that is great. But what really helped me is my father, who taught me how to nag. A very good trait indeed. But of course, none of this would be possible without people. Not just the thousands of community stakeholders and government and nonprofit and private sector professionals, many of whom have become lifelong friends, but more personally, more specifically, my mentors like Norman Steisel and John Altshuler, who taught me that the route to the what is through the why and the how. People like Carl and Steve Spinola, who always had my back and were there to catch me when I stumbled, as I naturally did. I recognize that those examples are all men, but oh, the women. The ones I count as friends and the ones I barely know. The Betsy Gottbounds, the Kathy Wyldes and Hazel Dukes, the Liz Newmarks and the Laura Walkers, who led the way and fought alongside me, enduring the whispered and sometimes not so whispered comments about being, excuse my language, a bitch or aggressive or in some way unfeminine, just to have the privilege of sitting in a room with men and talking about numbers or even strategy, heaven forbid. As God is my witness, ladies, even if we have to live a little longer than we planned, we will see a woman mayor and I hope a woman president. And finally, all the young people who've worked with me and for me over the years, the people who've kept me growing and learning and avoiding some sort of terminal obsolescence. I owe so much to them. You know, I never expected to be making this speech, accepting this wonderful award, sitting in the lobby of a hospital. But my mom, who's 97 years old, is upstairs in her room fighting for her life. And it made me think about what real lifetime achievement is about. And I'd like to think that my real lifetime achievement is that I've been a good daughter, I've been a good wife, I've been a good grandmother, and I've been a good friend. I left the Hudson Square bid as CEO several months ago. I know my successor and the wonderful staff and board will carry on, but I didn't retire. I quit because I'm going on to more lifetime achievements. I am not done achieving at all. And I hereby humbly accept your invitation to come back to 100 over 100. Good luck to all of us.
Hey, Ellen, we all thank you very much. And we really, really send your mom our best wishes and a big recovery. And you have been a great friend, believe me. I would now like to introduce Tom Suozzi, Congressman Tom Suozzi, who will talk about our next Lifetime Achievement honoree, Arlene Gonzalez. Sanchez, sorry, former commissioner of the New York State Office of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse.
Hey, Betsy, thanks so much. Great to see you. And thanks to everyone who's on here today. Congratulations to all of the honorees. Ellen Bear, our thoughts and sympathies are with you and your mom right now, and hoping she'll do well. It's such an honor for me to be on with you tonight to honor my good friend, Commissioner Sanchez. Arlene is one of those rare combinations of tremendous ability, great training and experience, and a heart of gold. Someone who's genuinely committed to trying to help people and make the world a better place to live in. And Arlene and I, 20 years ago, around this exact same time, I became the county executive of Nassau County, which was rated the worst run county in America. And Arlene became my commissioner of mental health. And she turned that department around. We actually combined that department for mental health with what was called drug and alcohol at the time, which we changed to chemical dependency, mental health and chemical dependency. And she completely reformed the department. She took it like the county was one of the worst run in the country to be a model for other people to follow. And she always had a sense of reaching out and making sure that we looked out for everybody in our county. And based upon her tremendous success and ability, she went on to serve as the commissioner for New York State for 10 years and did so much to help so many people by making sure that Oasis did services that were comprehensive for people. 75% of the people in jail have a drug, alcohol, or mental health problem. Much of the dysfunction of society comes from challenges of drugs, alcohol, and mental health. And Arlene knows that and knows that comprehensive services are what are needed, especially right now with so many people suffering from mental health issues and the opioid addiction that we're facing right now, as well as other drug and alcohol issues. And she worked like the true professional she is when COVID hit to make sure that we moved on to look at telehealth and making sure that people could get services remotely. And she always made a focus, as she did in Nassau County, to making sure that we addressed issues of every single community, looking out for all the different people of New York State and the many diverse minorities that we have in our state. Whether it was with the Pillars Recovery Center in Harlem, the LGBT Community Center of New York City, the Recovery Center serving New York's Native American community, also Nueva Esperanza, Nueva Vida con Oasis, which was part of New York's New Hope program, New Life with Oasis program that helped educate our state about addiction prevention, substance use disorders, and recovery services. So Arlene's an incredibly talented person. She's a great friend, someone I admire and respect, and was always happy to say, vamos seguir adelante juntos. Let's move forward together. That she always made sure that we did, and that so many other people did, especially when they faced some of the most desperate times in their lives. She made sure that their services were provided to provide miracles in people's lives. So Arlene, congratulations to you. I didn't know you were over 50, but I wish you great congratulations in this well-deserved honor that you're sharing with so many talented people tonight. Congratulations.
Oh, sorry. Arlene, are you there? And
Yes, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Hi, yep.
Hi. Well, first, I want to thank AARP New York and City and State and Kpmg for this recognition here today. Congratulations to all the honorees tonight for a well-deserved recognition as well. I really am truly honored and humbled by this distinguished recognition and to be among so many trailblazers and leaders such as Hazel Dukes, Betsy, of course, and Kathy Wylde, whom I've had the honor and privilege to work in different levels when I was in the city and state, but I also learned so much from you all. So thank you for that. And I feel also, like Ellen said, like a small fish in a big pond with so many of you being honored and recognized here tonight. I also want to thank, my husband, Jose, and my daughter, Lisa Mar, for their unconditional support and actually, understanding during my 31 plus years in government. It hasn't been smooth sailing, but they were always there and understood where my calling was and where my dedication was. So I really want to thank them for their support, their ongoing support. I also want to acknowledge and thank two individuals that, when I think back on my career, really had the foresight to see something in me that I perhaps didn't even see in myself. And that is Dr. Luis Marcos, and of course, my friend, my colleague, Congressman Tom Suozzi. I have to say, Tom Suozzi was the one who actually gave me the opportunity. He opened the door when he hired me in Nassau County as commissioner, and allowed me to do such great work in Nassau County that, as he indicated, became the model for other parts of the state. So I really publicly want to thank him for that. I have to say that, it's really amazing that you're recognized, that I'm being recognized for something that I enjoy doing. My whole life calling has always been to help people. And I don't see it as a job. I see it as a calling. And it's so great to know that I have changed so many people's lives, that I have made a difference in so many people's lives. So I really want to thank you for acknowledging that. Again, I don't know what else to say. I was really taken aback with the recognition. So thank you so much. And to Ellen Bear, I want to say that your mother will be in my prayers as well. I hope she follows the path that the Lord has for her, and she will be in our prayers. So thank you so much for this tremendous recognition.
Thank you, Arlene, and congratulations. I would like to introduce Winthrop Borden, Executive Director of Development at BFC New York, to introduce our next Lifetime Achievement Award honoree, and my friend, Don Kapocia.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to first congratulate all the honorees for this award and their amazing contributions. It's been a privilege for me to have known Don and worked with him for over 15 years. Depending on the day, Don is some combination of my boss, business partner, and mentor. And over the years, Don has taught me so much, and for that, I'm very grateful. Don was raised in the small city of Rome, New York. Funny enough, I don't know that he's had a parade yet, but we'll have to talk to him about that. He came to New York City in the early 80s with a few dollars in his pocket and a dream to make a life in the big city. As a recent graduate from planning school at the University of Buffalo, Don was eager to make a name for himself and to have a positive impact. And it's safe to say that over the last 40 years, Don has done just that. With a dollar check that Don was worried might bounce, he purchased his first building and launched BFC Partners. Don and his firm have made major contributions to improving the lives of those who live in historically underserved and overlooked communities, such as the East Village, East Harlem, Crown Heights, Williamsburg, downtown Brooklyn, and many more. It was Don's early investment in these neighborhoods that has helped turn them into the vibrant places that we see today. Over the last 40 years, Don has built and preserved over 15,000 units of affordable housing. He's built over 2 million square feet of commercial, community facility, and retail space. Don has been involved in many organizations that focus on issues ranging from housing equality, HIV and AIDS research, and many more. These organizations include the New York State Association for Affordable Housing, which he co-founded, the Real Estate Board of New York, the Rent Stabilization Board, the Battery Park City Authority, AMFAR, La Mama, U.S. Commission of Fine Arts, and the New York State Council for the Arts. Don has played a major role in furthering LGBTQ rights and also marriage equality in New York. He's recently built the largest LGBTQ friendly senior housing development in the country. And I guess if I was to summarize Don in sort of one line or one sentence, it would be that he leaves things better than how he found them. And with that, I'm proud to introduce the next honoree, Don Kapocia. Thank you.
Oop.
I think we might be having
You there, Don?
trouble getting on. We are a little delayed for Don, so we're going to hold off. I actually would like to see if we can play the AARP video we were having some technical difficulties with before. So we'll try that and see if Don comes on right after that.
Okay.
And I don't think we have Don at this time. So I think we will have to move on, unfortunately, but we congratulate him. Betsy, if you'd like to continue. Sorry about that.
What? I'm sorry, I can barely hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to have to delay Don. I don't think he's on at the moment. But if you'd like to continue on, sorry about that.
Should I introduce Don again and then Don will come on?
I don't think we have him here, so we'll have to skip over him for now. Sorry about
Skip over Don. That's too bad. Okay, well now I'd like to introduce Karen Boykin-Towns, Vice Chair of NAACP Board of Directors, to introduce our next Lifetime Achievement Award honoree, the great Hazel Dukes, President of the NAACP New York State Conference and member of the National Board of Directors. Karen?
Thank you, Betsy. Good evening. It is an honor to introduce Dr. Hazel N. Dukes, an American activist, advocate, as you recognize tonight some of New York's most prominent leaders. I'm blessed to be one of Dr. Dukes' many adopted children, and for 30 years, I've been able to witness the work of this phenomenal leader. But I should just stop here for a moment to give a shout out and thank you to Ronald Dukes, the only child she has actually birthed, for sharing his mom with her ever-growing family. Whether you've worked alongside Ma Dukes or on an issue, or have been one of her targets, her intent is always clear. She is about fighting for equity and access. Her legacy of achievement is long, and as the young folks like to say, Dr. Dukes has receipts. Whether it's about fighting against housing discrimination starting back in the 1960s on Long Island up until modern day, ensuring equity in COVID-19 vaccine education and delivery, repeal of 50A, yet supporting fair and proper policing in communities of color, mobilizing communities for census participation, securing equitable cannabis legislation, or protecting and enhancing voting rights, she has been on the case. But the issue that drives Dr. Dukes and is near and dear to her heart is around children and ensuring high quality public education that is equitably funded. She has had a lifelong commitment to the importance of education, even leading a lawsuit, the Campaign for Fiscal Equity, which was successful in persuading the courts of New York State to order action to remedy the underfunding of New York City public schools. There has not been a governor, a mayor, or anyone in between, friend or foe, who hasn't been on the receiving end of her fiery advocacy if they haven't lived up to fulfilling the promise of equality in education for all students. Bold, strategic, courageous, selfless, one of our most influential national leaders who is a mentor to the next generation of leaders, I'm privileged to introduce to some and to present to others, Dr. Hazel Nell Dukes. Congratulations.
Are we okay, Hazel?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
Betsy, how great it is to see you sitting here, just going through history of our work together. And let me give a shout out to Beth Finkel, who for the last several years, we've been like tied to the hip. And to all the honorees, I'm humbled and honored to be a part of this great achievement ceremony this afternoon. I know so many of you have had the privilege to work with you over the years. Combining my advocacy work in government, where we shared so many memories, Betsy, and then to my NAACP families, to the presidents who are on here tonight, and to my youth and college chapters. It's been it's in my DNA. It's a love for people. It's a love for us to really make our Constitution and democracy work for all of us. That I have stayed in this field. I've given 44 years in the NAACP from my college until this day. And for my motto, if I can help someone as I pass along, then my living will not be in vain. For persons who don't give anything back for the blessings that they have received in my Christian walk and journey, they said for those of us who have received so much, it is required to us to give back. And so that's why I'm here. That's why, and I join Ellen. Ellen, most certainly your mom and you will be in my prayers. But let me tell you, we have not lived until we helped others. So thank you tonight. This is the beginning of my lifetime achievement. I will continue to work each and every day for all New Yorkers, all Americans, that we will truly one day live up to the true meaning of what we should do for each other. Thank you so much to city and state, and congratulations to all of the honorees.
Thank you, Hazel. And you know, Hazel is really unbelievable. She is just a force of nature and a friend to all of us. So thank you, Hazel. I'd like to now introduce the first deputy mayor of the city of New York, Lorraine Grillo.
Wow. Thank you, Betsy. I am so glad to be part of this particular award afternoon, because these people on this list of 50 over 50 are people I have admired all my life. And speaking of admiring someone, the person that I have the honor to introduce is also a great friend. I am honoring Betsy Gottbound. She is just an amazing woman who I have watched over her career and do incredible things. She has worked for 3 mayors. She worked for Lindsay. She worked for Beam. She became the first female commissioner of the Parks Department. After that, she went to the Historical Society, the New York Historical Society, and rescued it from bankruptcy. It was going down and she pulled it back together. Then she ran for public advocate and she won public advocate twice. I think she could have run a 3rd time, but she chose not to. And here she is again doing something for the city of New York as Executive Director of Citizens Union. Now, I come from a group right now, this administration, that really takes great pride in the acronym GSD, and it means getting stuff done. And I cannot think of anyone who can get stuff done like Betsy Gottbound. She has done it all her life. And I will say this, as I did some research on Betsy, I found a headline in Cranes from 2018 called "Calling Betsy the Godmother of Good Government." And I just loved it because that really, really says who Betsy is. She has done nothing but devote herself to public service all these years, and it shows. And I will tell you, Betsy, we admire you. We know you will be there for us, and we know there's nothing you can't do. So congratulations, Betsy.
Thank you. Thank you, Lorraine. It's, first of all, there are those who say with all those jobs that I couldn't keep a job. But I'm very proud that I have been able to serve the city of New York, which I adore and love. And I got to say that many of the things that I've learned, I sort of look back for this particular occasion on things that I'm proudest of. And I am really, really proud of the Historical Society, of being Parks Commissioner, of being public advocate, and now of running Citizens Union. Probably one of the projects that I'm proudest of is way back in the early 80s, making sure that every police officer in this city had a bulletproof vest. With Louis Rudin and I together, the two of us started this project, and we did get every police officer a bulletproof vest. So I'm very, very proud of that, particularly now. However, I also want to say that there have been a lot of changes, and there have been a lot of good changes that have happened. And one of the things is the rise of these marvelous women. We have 5 deputy mayors who are women, and there's the number one right there, Lorraine. So I want to thank you. I want to thank City and State and all my honorees tonight. I'm very concerned about Ellen and her mother. And I just want to say, Ellen, Peter and I wish you the greatest luck and love for your mom. Thank you very much. Now I guess I got to go on and let's see.
Actually, Betsy, this is Amanda here. We actually have Don is on, so we're gonna let him make his remarks.
Good. Okay, Don. Hi, Don.
He's hopping in here.
Is he there? Oops.
You're muted, Don.
Sorry, everybody. I had an over 50 moment. I was a little bit late to the call. I apologize. I know Wynn introduced me. Wynn, thank you very much. Let me thank the board of the editorial board of City and State for this honor. When I saw the list of those who are honored today, I really couldn't believe that I was included in this list of really remarkable, very prominent and accomplished New Yorkers. So that to me was that was pretty much of a big deal for me today. I have so much to be thankful for as a result of being a New Yorker, living in New York City, being from New York State. I got my bachelor's at SUNY College, UB. I got my master's at a CUNY College, Hunter. I've had a 4-decade career working with the city and the state. Producing thousands of units of mixed income, working families, and low-income housing downstate, the capital region, and tomorrow we're going to do a groundbreaking for our first job in Buffalo, New York, where I went to school. So I have a lot to, I owe the city, I owe the state of New York a lot. It all would never have been possible without the support of a number of people who are on the call this evening who are honored. Betsy Gottbound especially has been a big supporter of the work that we've done for a long time. Omar Alvarez as well, back in the Giuliani days. And of course, Kathy Wylde, who knew me way back when I was just bothering her about getting a job. And she's seen firsthand what that support has accomplished over these unbelievable, really 40 years. It's been an honor to be able to lead our company, BFC Partners, through these decades in New York, through the tough times, through the good times. Today, all of us, I guess, are certainly pretty distressed about the situation in New York today and the public safety issues that we're facing. Many of you saw the same thing. Was when I first came to New York. I guess it was in the late 70s or early 80s. I remember vividly being a young kid in New York and going up to the Bronx and seeing the Bronx burning, seeing the Lower East Side. So to have these kind of safety issues emerge again today is even more alarming. And I think my company, we and all of us collectively, of course, have to do whatever is necessary in order to stop this kind of gun violence. Kathy has, published a great letter signed by many of us supporting Mayor Adams' approach to public safety and gun control. And look, like I said, I owe a lot to New York. I owe a lot to my company, and I owe a lot to the people over these many years who, without their support and encouragement, I, as an upstate dumb kid from upstate New York, would never have been able to accomplish what we've been able to accomplish these 40 years. So again, thank you very much. And I apologize for being late to the call, but by the way, I've been waiting for this honor for 17 years. Okay. I turned 50, 17 years ago, but look, I'm glad, better late than never, but thank you very much.
Thanks, Don. And I guess you're not as technically adept as I thought you were.
That's a good one. Okay, I'll take that.
Well, I'm usually the lowest one on that totem pole, so I'm glad that you had a problem. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. But anyway, thank you very much, Don. And now we have State Senator Shelley Mayer, who will present the next Lifetime Achievement Award to Westchester County Executive George Latimer.
Thank you, Betsy. It's really humbling to be, congratulations to you and the other incredible awardees tonight. It's really a history of tremendous accomplishment, and it's an honor to be here. But I'm honored to be here to introduce and present my friend, Westchester County Executive George Latimer, with this award. I've had the honor of knowing George and seeing him work his magic for over 30 years, and I'm honored to follow in his footsteps in the Senate. If you know George, and he probably is going to say this, you already know, he grew up on the south side of Mount Vernon to Stanley Latimer and Loretta Minor Latimer. His father worked as a person who repaired things at a nearby country club, his mother at a factory. They instilled in him an incredible work ethic, a dedication to community, and a belief in his own ability. It morphed into a powerhouse of persuasion, passion, and commitment to the values of our democracy, and we celebrate those qualities with this award tonight. George has a unique gift that he bestowed on us all. He paired the experience gleaned from years of sales and marketing experience with a commitment to principled, responsible, competent government. He put the people part of politics together with the professional, proactive role of governing, and it's been a pairing that frankly is pretty unrivaled in New York State. Before being elected to public office, George served over 20 years in corporate America with the country's most prominent companies in sales and marketing. I can only conclude, because I didn't know him then, that experience has had a lasting impact on him. George took that experience and combined it with a passion for a responsive, reasonable government. From the Rye City Council, chair of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, the Assembly, the Senate, and then County Executive of Westchester, George made government work. Over the years, he oversaw major legislative accomplishments in Westchester and New York, fighting for protection for the Long Island Sound, supporting important civil rights advances, and in the last 2 years, leading our county through COVID with remarkable openness, competence, and the support of our communities. In truth, this combination of experience, talent, and hard work has made him one of the most remarkable and successful political stories in New York's history. In 35 years of running for office, George has never lost an election. That's pretty remarkable. But the story at home in my district, which was George's district, is that George knows everyone. But more important, he knows what they want. A government that really delivers, is free of rhetoric, but full of delivery, not bogged down in bureaucracy and ego, but charged with making life better for all. That record of accomplishment is what makes George so deserving of this award. And I send my deepest congratulations to my very good friend and partner, County Executive George Latimer.
Shelley, thanks very much. I'm deeply appreciative of this honor. It's a Lifetime Achievement Award. Feels a little like a Tom Brady, it's time to go time award. But when I look at all the wonderful people that are being recognized tonight, Hazel Dukes, Betsy Gottbound, I'm very honored to be in their presence. And I do want to thank city and state editors, again, my friend Shelley Mayer, all the many friends and colleagues that I've made over all of these years. Shelley outlined some of the positions I've had in public office, from the Rise City Council through the State Assembly and the State Senate, now in this position. And I'm very appreciative as well of an outstanding team of professionals that I have around me that help run Westchester County government. 34 years ago this month, in January, I completed my first month in public office as a city councilman in a small city of 15,000 people, small suburban city. I know that I'm not going to be here 34 years from tonight. So what do I reflect on in a moment like this when we talk about lifetime achievement? It isn't budgets. It isn't tax rates. It isn't any particular piece of legislation, although I've been part of many important pieces of legislation over the years. It isn't about this election or the next election. I really think what I think about now is the continuing existence of small d democratic government. Will it survive? This has been an experiment, almost a 250-year experiment in democracy. And there have been other nations from ancient Rome till the modern day that has tried to do the same thing. And we're in a constant battle to determine whether we can solve the problems that are before us and convince people that democracy is the best way to go. Every cycle we face divisive public policies. In my life, Vietnam in the 1960s, Watergate in the 1970s. We faced 9/11, stock market crashes. We've had natural disasters and now COVID. And every time we found a way to come together. It feels different today than when I started out in public office. It seems that people only believe the information that they want to believe, the information that supports whatever their predetermined view is. If things don't work out your way, it was rigged, or it was fixed, or there was some devious forces behind the outcome. The people that we disagree with, we've come to see them as our enemies, not as our compatriots who just have different views, and we can work through those disagreements. We distrust the media. We distrust the government. We distrust the educational system. We distrust provable truths. We assert that they're lies. To rebuild that confidence is very, very hard. It's almost impossible in some ways, but we have to try. And we have to try at every level of government and at every level of our activities in a county and a town, every bit as much as we have to do in the state and the nation. History teaches us that we came close in the 1930s in this country, as much of Europe did, to embrace that lure of tyranny. But we stepped back from the abyss. Will we do so again? We will if people all across the spectrum, from progressives and liberals and moderates and conservatives, begin to see each other as people first. That's what Shelley alluded to. We're people first, not our party affiliation, not our ideology, not our demographics, but we're human beings sharing this same patch of life at the same exact time. We can have differing ideas. We can feel passionately about those ideas, but we have to have a common commitment to the future that we all share. What's the alternative? The alternative is disagreement that leads to violence, that leads to chaos, that leads to a long, dark night. There's no way that we can afford to continue to slide down that slope. I believe, as many of us do, we wouldn't be here tonight. I believe that our best days are still ahead of us. I believe that we have the opportunity to step back once again from the abyss. But if we govern our towns, if we govern our counties, if we govern our state and our nation with some humility, some forbearance, some sense of perseverance, where it is not ego-driven, but it's driven around a longer-term view, then we have that chance to step back and then to solve the problems, which are not easy to do, but to address them in a way that's appropriate. I believe we're going to rise to this moment, the same way that we did in 1940, the same way that we did in 1860, the same way that we did in 1780. And when we do that, when this generation does that, we'll earn the title to be called our grandparents' grandchildren. It is the ultimate achievement of the generation that I'm a member of, my generation. That's our lifetime achievement that we seek. And I'm very honored to have this opportunity to share those thoughts with you and to continue to work alongside so many wonderful, talented people in the state, in government, and outside of government.
Wow. Well, thank you, George. That's a very eloquent statement. And thank you again for what you're doing in Westchester County. I'd like to introduce now Tony James, Executive Vice President at Blackstone, who is going to make some pre-recorded remarks to introduce the next honoree, Daniel Weiss, who is President and CEO of the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Good evening, everyone. I am Tony James, co-chair of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I want to start by congratulating all of tonight's honorees. Their talent and dedication are what make our city great. I am here tonight to introduce Dan Weiss, President and CEO of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Dan joined us as Chief Operating Officer 7 years ago and quickly ascended to CEO. At the time, the Met was in need of strong leadership who could get our financial house in order, while at the same time maintaining the highest standards of excellence and humanizing our management. Bringing fiscal discipline to an academic institution is never easy, but Dan handled it masterfully. He is compassionate, highly articulate, and a strong consensus builder. He brought to bear tremendous experience, having been president at both Lafayette and Haverford colleges. In his joining the Met from the outside, it helped a lot that he also had a PhD in art history and had authored 6 books. Wow, talk about instant credibility with an artistic and curatorial staff. Since arriving, he has significantly upgraded the management team, bringing in a highly diverse group of talented executives. And it's a good thing, too. If we thought we had challenges 7 years ago, it was nothing compared to the last 2 years. And this is when Dan really rose to the occasion. COVID stopped tourism cold and knocked $100 million off our revenues overnight. Art museums are the ultimate site-based organizations, yet suddenly everyone had to work remotely. Hurricane Ida created record rains that caused storm drains to back up, flooding our critical power, heating, and climate control systems. Social foment roiled the nation. The Met was urged to show the way on racial equity, diversity, and inclusion, and on coming to terms with such legacy issues as colonization and the opioid crisis. Throughout it all, Dan kept the museum open, safe, and functioning at the highest level. At a time of tremendous stress and angst, when our city needed the sanctuary the Met provides more than ever, we delivered. The course Dan set showed the way for the entire New York cultural community to follow. While dealing with those urgent crises, Dan has also been moving forward on key strategic measures that will elevate the superb institution even further and solidify his own long-term legacy. These include transformational initiatives in both the digital arena and the physical. We have in the works a revolutionary children's play area and a thrilling new modern art wing, for example. These initiatives will make the Met more accessible to global audiences, provide new gateways for younger, more diverse visitors, and better integrate the Met with our vibrant, multifaceted city. In times of crisis, experience matters, and I can think of no one who demonstrated this more clearly or is more deserving of this award than my friend Dan Weiss. Dan, over to you.
Well, thank you so much. It is a great honor to be among those who were selected for this award this year. When I think about what it is that unites all of us, I actually think that our characteristic that we share is our good fortune.
because all of us have had the opportunity over a sustained period of time to be of service, to do work in areas that mean something to us, to be able to make contributions that matter. And for that, I'm enormously grateful. I'm enormously grateful to city and state. I'm enormously grateful to have been invited to receive this award. But as I reflect on what I would want to say about this moment and about this achievement, it really, what comes to mind is gratitude. I'm enormously grateful to be part of an institution like the Met. As Tony said, the Met is in many ways a singular institution, although within the context of New York, that's saying something. The Met was founded by the citizens of New York more than 150 years ago in order to create something meaningful and of enduring value to its citizenry, both within the city and beyond. And it has been one of the great social experiments in American history. What has been built by this community is now a global institution of importance throughout the world. To have the opportunity to be part of that community and to serve as leader has been the great privilege of my professional life. As Tony said, we have faced all kinds of challenges, as many of you have. It has not been an easy time for any of us. But what I have had on my side that has helped in very significant ways is how extraordinarily talented our staff are. The Met has the great, great virtue of having people who are enormously dedicated, talented, hardworking, and passionate about the institution. And as a leader, I have learned to think very carefully about what they have to say. The best ideas come from the staff. They're so committed to the well-being of the institution. My greatest obligation was to listen. And I have been a good listener. And collectively, we have made the changes and done the work we need to do to allow this institution to prosper in good times and in bad. So I'm grateful to the Met, but I'm also grateful to be part of this extraordinary city. I grew up on Long Island. I've been coming into Manhattan all my life, and I've always been in awe of this city, what it has to contribute to the life of people who live here, but more broadly throughout the world. And as a historian, I have to say that New York City itself is one of the great social achievements in the history of civilization. It's one of the great cities of all time. As we reflect on this difficult moment and where we go from here, as many of us have talked about this evening, we have an opportunity to build on this great city to make it better, to solve the problems that are in front of us, some of them are easier than others. But what we have already built, what we have created, is of such value and of such enduring importance. It's worth our best effort in so doing. So as I close, I express my thanks that to be part of a community that is able to do that, to make those efforts. And I look forward to doing that in the years ahead. And finally, I wouldn't be here at all if it weren't for my wife and my family. My wife, Sandra, believed in me long before anyone else did. And I wouldn't be receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award if she hadn't been there with me throughout my life to support me in all kinds of ways, large and small. So I thank her and I thank all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much for all that you do. And thank you to the Met. It's a great, great place. And I wish I could get there more.
Thank you.
I'd like to now introduce Ida Schmertz, former head of corporate affairs at American Express, to present our next award to my dear friend, Kathy Wylde, CEO of the partnership.
Thank you, Betsy. It's an honor for me to spend time this evening with so many of you who have made major contributions to the city of New York. And of course, it's my pleasure to introduce Kathy Wylde, whom I expect by now, since we're talking 50 over 50, all or most of you know very, very well. But I'll fill in on a couple details. Kathy and I got to know each other during the Reagan years. My video is on, yes? I have a sign here, do my video. Is it on, Betsy?
I think so. You're asking the wrong person.
Okay. We got to know each other during the Reagan years when she was a young rising star at what is now the Partnership for the City of New York. She first made a name for herself during what were crisis years for the city by creating what were then very unusual partnerships among federal, state, and local politicians, CEOs of major businesses, nonprofit organizations, labor unions, community organizations. And at the time I knew her, the objective of the partnership was to build affordable housing, not talk about it, but actually build and renovate affordable housing and promote economic development. In partnership meetings, I noticed Kathy particularly because of her obvious intelligence, but her deep passion for and knowledge of the issues and the people involved, and her ability to articulate effective solutions to some deep-seated problems. She was and remains a hands-on exec. To give you a couple of examples, she led the partnership in playing a major role after 9/11 in redeveloping Lower Manhattan. After the fiscal crisis and recession of 2008, 2009, when New York was facing a major financial meltdown, she and the partnership were key in the recovery. And of course, today, with the pandemic and all the health and economic challenges that we're facing. But beyond dealing with crises, Kathy has initiated partnership efforts to create investment and jobs in the city, most particularly for minorities and for women-led businesses. She established the Partnership Investment Fund to nurture the city's emerging innovation economy and promoting and expanding the biotech industry, and today what we call Silicon Alley. She and the partnership have been in the forefront of mayoral control of the schools, of modernizing our difficult transit system and valuable transit system, I should say. Kathy has been president and CEO of the partnership since 2001. Leading some 300 CEOs of major businesses in the city to work with government, labor, and the civic sector to build and nurture a stronger economy. In addition, she's become internationally sought after as an expert in urban policy, economic development, and of course, affordable housing. She serves on numerous nonprofit boards, has received honorary degrees. But despite these accomplishments, and despite a 7-day-a-week schedule, Kathy seems to carry her responsibilities lightly. She enjoys the job and the challenges, and they have only increased her passion for the city. So I feel that as New Yorkers, we're lucky to have Kathy in our midst, and I turn it over to her, wherever she may be.
I'm here.
Oh, good.
In the gallery. Thank you, Ida. Ida was, and thank you, Betsy, many friends on here, Hazel, Lorna Stark, and Beth Finkel for sponsoring this along with City and State, and all my other friends on here, Don and Karen Towns. Nice to see all of you. Ida was my first mentor when I got to the partnership in 1982, and it was a time when women were truly marginalized in all sectors, but particularly in the city's business community. And she taught me how to manage up, write talking points for CEOs that sounded like they would actually read them and say them, and gave me the support I needed to be effective in my job. So I have tried over my career, and I think the most important things that I've tried to do have been to provide the same levels of support for, I can now say, several generations of younger people, and particularly younger women. So I'm pleased with this award. I've gotten to the point in life where I say I'm counting backwards, and in doing that, I think I've gotten much better at setting priorities as to how I use my time and my energy. And so there are some advantages to aging, and I'm 25 years beyond 50. So I've got Don beat. Most everybody on the call beat probably, but I've had the advantage of having a close-up view of New York City at the community and citywide level for 50 years. And I first came to New York in '66 when we were going through the revolution from the manufacturing economy to the service economy. And I didn't expect to see it, but the pandemic has accelerated this transition from the service economy to the digital economy. I have great confidence in the future of New York, but I share George Latimer's concern earlier that the political dynamics that we face today are a real threat. New York got through what we got through thanks to people like Victor Gotbaum and David Rockefeller working hand in hand in the 1970s to pull us out of fiscal crisis and to set the city on a solid path toward the future. And today, we hope that our leadership can do the same. We've got a shot, new mayor, new governor. We've got to make the best of it. So I hope all of us will double down. It's inspired me not to retire yet, but to try and support this next generation of leadership through what is going to be a very difficult transition, but I think we can make it if we can figure out how to rely on the kind of pragmatism and commitment to the long-term issues of support for the city, as opposed to our individual political or ideological beliefs. So thanks very much, and it's good to be with you all.
Thank you, Kathy, and congratulations. We've kind of done this together, I think, chronologically.
Exactly,
Anyway,
Beth.
thank you very much and congratulations. And I'd now like to introduce Leroy Barr, Secretary and Director of Staff of the UFT, United Federation of Teachers, who will present the last and final award to my friend Anthony Wells of District Council 37, Local 371.
Thank you very much. To the members of City and State, the 50 over 50 hosts, the sponsors, and to all the Lifetime Achievement honorees, the Age Disruptors, guests and family, good evening. I want to first say congratulations to all of the Lifetime Achievement awardees. May you continue to disrupt standards, the status quo, and shake foundations to the benefit of all of those in your sphere of influence, seen and unseen. I have the distinct honor and privilege of introducing to you the next awardee, the president of the mighty, mighty union, SSEU, Local 371 of District Council 37, Mr. Anthony Wells, the great disruptor. Disruptor, a person or thing that interrupts an event, activity, or process by causing a disturbance or problem. And I'll add my part, for the good of the people. Well, if you know him, you know that describes Anthony Wells. However, if I could put his achievements and his philosophy into a phrase, it would be, we're a family. His career has been about the families of New York City from the very beginning. Anthony Wells began his civil service career in 1980 as a caseworker at the Spofford Juvenile Center in the Bronx. 3 years later, he transferred to the Bureau of Child Welfare, the Queens Field Office, where he served as a union delegate. His service there was about those families. His career has also been about his union family from the very beginning. In 1988, he joined the union staff as an organizer, becoming Associate Director of Organization in 1990 and Associate Director of Negotiations and Research in 1995. In 1999, he became Vice President for the Negotiations and Research Section, heading the union's bargaining committee, and also representing SSEU Local 371 on the DC 37 Pension Committee until his election as president. He is especially proud of his efforts on behalf of particular groups of city workers facing oppressive conditions or firings. As a union family, he reminds his members to stand together. There is strength and power in unity. As they take care of the families of New York and as they take care of each other, he reminds his members that they deserve to be able to take care of their own families as well. That is the power of Local 371. Finally, he's a family man. How do I know? He happens to be, and I'm proud to say, my cousin. If you want to know some family secrets, call me offline after the event. What I do want you to know tonight is that we as a family have experienced firsthand the same love, commitment, support, advocacy, laughter, and joy with him as all of the other families I've mentioned previously. He shows up in the same way for each of us in each family setting with the same loving attention and a desire to make things right. He is a disruptor. He's a good and righteous man. He is an awardee of the 50 over 50 award tonight, but to the families in New York City he has served, to his union family and to ours, he is our #1 guy. He is a man who embodies say what you mean and mean what you say. I present to you the president of the mighty, mighty union, SSEU, Local 371, Anthony Wells. We're proud of you. We love you. Congratulations.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, kids. Appreciate you. Does that mean we can't make jokes no more at family reunions, the family functions again? We still on, right?
Of course.
Thank you to City and State, and thank you to AARP. Congratulations to all other fellow honorees. It is nice that someone thinks that you've done something in your life. I like that disruptive things. They used to call me disruptive, so now I'm the disruptor. That's, you know, a troublemaker, you know what I mean? But as my friend John Lewis said, we like to get into good trouble. And as Martin Luther King Jr. said, longevity has its place. So to have done this, as all my co-honors have done, means that we have done something for a while. But it doesn't mean we're finished, tired. We have an obligation, I know I do, to address what's going on. We must stand up as the mayor says, GSS, y'all know what that's what he stands for, but he's being politically correct, against stuff done. We must stand up against discrimination, against our Asian brothers and sisters or anybody, and particularly us old people, because they're messing with us older people. But Betsy, we have to put value back into life every day, and that's been an opportunity we've had to do. I thank the union movement. I guess so many mentors that I can name some. My mother, my father, told me family was important. My mother said, family ain't just by blood, it's by love also. Therefore, you can expand your family. And I've been blessed to have done that. And people have allowed me into their families. I can't say thank you enough without saying thank you to Larry Glickson and Charles Ensley and Stanley Hill and Nola Brooker and so many other people who have come before me, with me, to do what we do. And our goal is very simple. That if we make the lives of our members better, it will make the lives of their families better, and hopefully make the lives of their community better. We're all in this. With different eyes and different views, we're all in this. And we can't move forward without the young people. And we can't be afraid of the young people. And when we don't understand the young people, we need somebody to explain to us, like we have to explain to our parents about what we were doing. But the only way we get out of all this is by working together. So it is an honor that someone thinks that you have done something. And I appreciate the support and the love that I've been blessed to receive for so many different corners. I said a prayer already for Ellen Bear's mother because prayer works. Something greater than yourself has to be in your repertoire. Otherwise, you can't get past yourself. And as my cousin Leroy says, I'm so proud. Let me back up real quick. I am so proud of being on the stage with this young man, with this brother here, because it's an indication for our family. We come from a civil service family, and it's about taking it to the next level. And I'm so proud to be in this brother's company and Denise Barnes' company because it's a blood thing, but it's a family. So I thank you all. I thank you for your patience to wait. I congratulate all the other people. I congratulate city and state, AARP. I've been a member for a lot of years. Keep it going. Hey, Betsy, it's always a pleasure, honor to see you. And I gotta say hi to Mama Duke, because that's when Mama Duke is in the room, you pay the homage because she's been doing it a long time and she never shows that she's anyways tired. But let's be safe. Let's work together. Let's remember, we all in this. Different views, different hats, but the same goals. God bless you and God bless the union. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Very eloquent and nice to see you again. One of our honorees, Councilwoman Margaret Chin, could not be here tonight, and we just want to recognize her for her achievement, not only in the City Council, but for all of the things that she's done for the Chinese community and other community that she's represented. And therefore, now I will read the presentation to the winners. These individuals, there are a lot of them now. There are about 50, I think, not sure, but I'm going to read all the names. And if you want to shout out to them, come into the chat room and say hello. So we're going to start off with Omar Alvarez, and he is the Vice President of Kapocia, which is nice. Hi, Omar. Richard Ball, Commissioner, State Department of Agriculture. Ana Bermudez, Commissioner, New York City Department of Probation. Charles Bertolami, Dean, NYU College of Dentistry. Christopher Burke, Executive Director of the New York State Preferred Source Program for New Yorkers who are blind. Oh, wonderful. Al Cardillo, President and CEO, Home Care Association of New York State. Corinne Carey, Senior Campaign Director, Compassion and Choices. Natasha Cherry Perez, Community Engagement Manager, New York Charter Schools Associate. Donna Colonna, CEO, Services for the Underserved. Terrence Connors, Founding Partner, Connors LLP. Robert Cordero, Executive Director, Grand Street Settlement. Marie Corrado, Senior Director of the Gateway Program, Amtrak. Sonia Daly, Executive Director, Operations, ID NYC. Sean Doolin, President, Hinman Straub. Arthur Goldstein, Partner and Chair of this New York City Government Relations of Davidoff, Hutcher and Citron. William Guadagnino, President and CEO of HeartShare Human Services of New York. Lawrence Hammond, Senior Vice President of Access Community Preservation Corporation. Kevin House, Chief Operating Officer, New York Edge. Juanita Holmes, Chief of Training of the New York City Police Department. Christian Hilton, Partner, Philip Snizer. Terry Kalbar, Director, Institute for Empowered Aging of the United Neighborhood Houses. Roberta Katz, Founder of Roberta Katz Consulting. Ida Landers, Senior Director of Domestic Violence, Emergency and Transitional Shelters, and the Urban Resource Institute. Lois Lee, Director, Queens Early Childhood Center, Chinese American Planning Council. Rick Lustig, Senior Vice President, Human Resources of the Mission Society. Gregorio Mayers, Founder and CEO of GM Consulting. James McCarthy, President, Uniform Fire Officers Association. Paul Monte, Co-Managing Partner, New York, Pecker and Abramson. Ross Moskowitz, Partner of Strzok. Karen Norman, Chief Program Officer, Lutheran Social Services of New York. Nora O'Brien Surik, CEO, Health Foundation for Central and Western New York. Jeff Plant, partner, KPMG LLP. Oh boy, see if I can get this one right. Luis Saccabarozzi, Vice President and Director of Health Policy and Advocacy, Latino Commission on AIDS. Carl Slight, Member, Harris Beach. Frank Torres, Attorney, Duffy and Duffy. Dave Wenner, Senior Advisor, Ostroff Associates. Jeffrey Weiss, Adjunct Professor, Senior Fellow, Census and Redistricting Institute, New York Law School. Darlene Williams, President and CEO, Opportunities for a Better Tomorrow. Thomas Wright, President and CEO of the Regional Plan Association. Michelle Yanch, Executive Director of Good Shepherd Services. Anyway, congratulations to all of you. Be sure that those of you who are still on this webinar or whatever it's called, visit City and State's website or this week's magazine to read about each of the individual honorees. Before we close, I'd like to thank the sponsors again: AARP, KPMG, Good Shepherd, Grand Street Settlement, and Roberta Katz Consulting. Thank you again for your support and for joining us this evening. And good night to all.